I always carry a gun when I'm in the woods, especially. That you never know what you're going to run across. Same kind of a pistol that shot Abraham Lincoln, Ford's Theater. Put this in the way it is. Now that's a tough one. It's got a knot in it. The nearest police station, if there happened to be a policeman there when you called, would be at the mayor. And it would take the policeman over an hour to get up here, the sheriff. So if you have a problem that needs immediate attention, you have to give it that attention yourself, because there's nobody else to turn to up here. But the people living up here are pretty much a self-sufficient type of group of families in that respect, and I think most of them can pretty much take care of themselves. It would be a mistake for them to be living up here if they couldn't. A fellow and his wife that I had worked with at Honeywell for many years had driven into town, and a fellow, Bob, got out of the pickup and he came over and to the saloon. There were quite a few people sitting out in front of the saloon there having a beer in those days. He asked if any of them knew Ray Singer. He thought that Ray Singer lived up here. One guy says, yeah, he lives up here, but he's nowhere around here anywhere. They knew at that time that we were just a few yards away in the restaurant across the street. But nobody will tell any strangers in town where you live unless they have your permission to do it. I had bought a piece of property up in northern Minnesota back in 1957, and we were going to build a house there. The old gentleman that sold it to me said, well, now you got to figure out where you're going to drill your well. We'll witch the spot. So he went and got a willow stick, cut it into a Y shape, and we went around the property. Occasionally, the point of the Y would dip down, and he said, now this indicates that there's water depth there. And I thought it was a little bit strange, but I said, okay, if you say so. It's pretty stiff. I was telling a neighbor of mine about what this old gentleman had showed me, and I really thought that it worked. He says, I want to dig a well on some property that I bought, Why don't we go over there and you witch the thing for me? So we went over there and I was witching around the place. Finally, I came across a place that appeared like it had some promise. It was pulling the stick down. He dug his well there, and it turned out to be a reasonable well. I've witched, I believe, about 30 wells here in town. Every one of them has hit water that the owners appeared to be very satisfactory with. Now, I feel that that's pretty good in a mountainous area where you don't really have water tables like you have on the bottom in the flatlands down in Phoenix. But again, I'm no expert on that either, but all I know is it works. This is the type of welding rod that I use. I just make an L shape out like that. Use two of them, one in each hand. And when you get over an object, they cross, and as you pass the object, they'll go back out again. It wasn't until many, many years ago, or many, many years later, I should say, which was about 2 years ago, that I first witched in a cemetery to find unmarked graves. I was with a very experienced fellow there. Anyway, he showed me how to look, first of all, to see if there was anything there, and then to see whether it was an adult or a child buried there. And lo and behold, it all seemed to work pretty good. And a few of the places that we witched, I didn't know at the time, but I found out later that indeed there were people buried in those places. So that improved my confidence a little bit. I guess you'd have to say that I was a flatlander before I came to the mountain. People in the mountain up here are generally a lot more self-sufficient. The people who move up here come up here for the solitude, the quiet, and the remoteness. The place is just one old abandoned mine or mining claim after another. So it kind of takes you back in time that way. If you like history, this is an ideal place to be. If you feel you got to play golf at least one day a week, why this probably wouldn't do very well.